Cliff-dwelling spiders represent some of the most remarkably adapted arachnids alive today. These eight-legged predators have evolved extraordinary capabilities that allow them to thrive in one of Earth's most challenging habitats, vertical rock faces where most creatures cannot survive. Spiders are already one of the most successful groups of terrestrial predators on the planet, with more than 50,000 recognized species making up a staggering percentage of all arachnid diversity. What makes cliff spiders particularly fascinating is that they're one of only a handful of spider lineages to have evolved the capability of hunting in completely vertical environments without relying on traditional web structures. Cliff spiders, a collective term for various species that have independently adapted to rock face habitats, have amazingly diverse hunting strategies. Some ambush prey directly on climbing routes, others create invisible tripwire systems across crevices, and still others hunt entirely web-free using remarkable adhesive abilities. They're found on cliff faces on every continent except Antarctica, and some lineages have existed in these specialized niches for millions of years. Unlike typical orb-weaving spiders that construct elaborate two-dimensional webs in vegetation, and unlike ground-hunting wolf spiders that chase prey across horizontal surfaces, cliff spiders have evolved to exploit the unique opportunities presented by vertical rock environments. Their hunting methods involve specialized silk glands that produce incredibly strong drag lines for safety anchoring, highly developed spatial awareness to navigate three-dimensional cliff topography, and remarkable prey detection systems that can sense vibrations through solid rock. Despite their remarkable adaptations and success in colonizing cliff habitats worldwide, the evolutionary origins of cliff-specialized spiders remain somewhat mysterious. How did various spider lineages independently evolve these extraordinary vertical hunting capabilities? What were the ancestral behaviors that predisposed certain spiders to move into cliff environments? The study of cliff spider evolution represents one of the most intriguing areas of research in modern arachnology: cliff spider biology and hunting mechanisms. For starters, what exactly makes a spider capable of hunting on vertical cliff faces? And what anatomical features separate these specialized predators from their ground-dwelling or web-building relatives? Well, that brings us to the first fascinating aspect of cliff spider biology. The most successful cliff hunting spiders belong to several families. The most studied examples come from the family Celticidae, the jumping spiders, which includes genera like Portia and Phidippus, as well as members of the family Thomisidae. However, the most impressive cliff specialists are found in less well-known families. Species like Dracides lapidosus, known scientifically as the stone spider, from the Latin lapidosus meaning a stony, have evolved remarkable adaptations specifically for vertical rock hunting. The anatomy of these cliff specialists is stunning when examined closely. Unlike spiders that depend primarily on web construction, cliff hunters possess extraordinarily developed tarsal claws and scapulae, dense tufts of specialized setae, hair-like structures, on their feet that generate adhesive forces through van der Waals interactions. These microscopic hairs split into hundreds of even smaller endings, creating enormous surface area that allows the spider to maintain grip on nearly smooth rock surfaces. A single foot of a medium-sized cliff spider might have over 600,000 individual hair endings making contact with the rock surface, generating enough adhesive force to support not just the spider's body weight, but also the additional force of capturing struggling prey. The silk production systems in cliff spiders are equally remarkable. While they don't construct traditional catching webs, they constantly produce dragline silk as they move across rock faces, essentially climbing while attached to a safety line. This dragline silk, produced by the major ampullate glands, is one of the strongest natural materials known to science, with tensile strength comparable to steel, but with far greater elasticity. The silk can stretch to nearly 40% beyond its resting length before breaking, allowing it to absorb the shock of a sudden fall or a prey item's escape attempt. The hunting strategy itself is where things become truly extraordinary. Cliff spiders have evolved what researchers call ambush architecture, the deliberate positioning of silk threads across climbing routes and crevices to create tactile tripwires. Unlike the two-dimensional webs of orb weavers, these structures are three-dimensional and highly dynamic, taking advantage of the complex topography of cliff faces. A hunting spider will often spend hours carefully placing individual silk strands across likely prey pathways, the edges of cracks where insects shelter, the approaches to bird nests, or even across popular climbing routes where insects congregate on warm rock. The sensory systems these spiders employ are a biological superpower. By detecting tiny vibrations transmitted through their silk tripwires and through the rock substrate itself, cliff spiders can determine not only that potential prey is nearby, but also its approximate size, location, and even species. Spiders possess specialized organs called slit sensilla, microscopic slits in their exoskeleton connected to nerve endings, that are incredibly sensitive to mechanical stress and vibration. Cliff hunting spiders that use this vibrational detection method possess relatively large lyriform organs, clusters of slit sensilla arranged in distinctive patterns on their legs. These organs are involved in the detection of both airborne and substrate-borne vibrations. Successful cliff hunters have among the most developed lyriform organs of any spider family, with some species possessing multiple large clusters on each leg segment, giving them almost 360-degree vibrational awareness. Now, I need to quickly add here that there was fascinating debate between research teams over whether cliff spiders primarily use vibrational cues or visual cues when hunting. One group demonstrated that some jumping spiders hunting on cliff faces rely heavily on their extraordinarily well-developed eyes, with vision comparable to some vertebrates. However, another team studying nocturnal cliff hunters showed that many successful species hunt in complete darkness using only vibrational and chemical cues. So the current understanding is that different cliff spider lineages have evolved different primary sensory modalities depending on their specific ecological niche. Evolutionary evidence and prey interactions. Looking at the evolutionary history of cliff hunting in spiders, the development of this ecological specialization shows clear evidence of convergent evolution, with multiple spider lineages independently adapting to vertical rock environments. This helps answer one of the key questions researchers had been debating. Did cliff hunting evolve once in a common ancestor, or did different spider families discover this ecological niche independently? The diversity of cliff hunting adaptations across unrelated spider families provides compelling evidence for convergent evolution. Jumping spiders that hunt on cliffs rely heavily on exceptional vision, possessing some of the most advanced eyes in the invertebrate world. Meanwhile, certain members of the family Naphisidae that have adapted to cliff hunting are primarily nocturnal and rely almost entirely on tactile and vibrational senses. Yet both groups have independently evolved remarkably similar foot morphologies with dense scapulae and specialized claws, demonstrating that the physical demands of vertical hunting have driven similar anatomical solutions. The silk architecture employed by cliff hunters offers additional insight into how this adaptation evolved. Traditional spider webs represent enormous investments of protein and energy. An orb web might require a spider to use up to 50% of its daily protein intake just in silk production. Cliff hunting spiders have evolved much more economical silk use strategies. Instead of constructing large catching webs that must be rebuilt regularly, they produce strategic tripwire systems using perhaps only 5 to 10% of the silk required for a traditional web. The geographical distribution of cliff hunting spider lineages tells us about when these adaptations evolved. Cliff specialists are found on all continents with significant rocky terrain, but the highest diversity is found in ancient mountain ranges like the Alps, the Rockies, and various Asian mountain systems. This distribution pattern, combined with molecular clock analyses estimating divergence times, suggests that major radiations of cliff hunting spiders occurred during the Miocene epoch, roughly 15-20 million years ago, coinciding with significant mountain building and the expansion of open rocky habitats. Returning to the actual hunting interactions, the dynamics reveal sophisticated predator-prey relationships refined over millions of years. The types of prey available on cliff faces differ substantially from those on ground or in vegetation. Primary prey items include flying insects that rest on cliff faces, cliff-dwelling insects whose larvae develop in rock crevices, and surprisingly, even small vertebrates in the case of the largest cliff specialists. The hunting success rates of cliff spiders are remarkably high. Field studies using video cameras positioned on cliff faces have recorded hunting attempts of marked individual spiders over extended periods. These studies found success rates ranging from 65% to 85% for ambush attacks on insects, significantly higher than ground hunting spiders of similar size, which typically range from 30% to 50%. This high success rate results from limited escape routes available to prey on vertical surfaces and the element of surprise provided by cryptic positioning and invisible silk tripwires. The tripwire systems themselves represent remarkable engineering feats. When researchers make these invisible structures visible using special lighting or fine mist, the complexity becomes apparent. A single hunting spider might maintain 15 to 40 individual tripwire strands spread across several square meters of rock face. These aren't randomly placed. Detailed mapping studies show spiders position tripwires with clear strategic intent, concentrating them near crevices, providing insect shelter, and across natural pathways. Human encounters and conservation. The intersection between cliff spiders and human rock climbers has generated considerable interest and some concern. Rock climbing has exploded in popularity over recent decades, bringing millions of people into direct contact with cliff spider habitats. Climbers often report encountering spiders and their webs during ascents, and there's been debate about the actual danger these spiders pose. Most cliff-dwelling spiders are completely harmless to humans. Even the largest species lack venom potent enough to cause significant harm to creatures our size. Their venoms evolved specifically to quickly immobilize insect prey, not to defend against large mammals. However, the psychological impact shouldn't be underestimated. Encountering a large spider mid-climb, when you're already in a vulnerable position, can cause panic reactions that create genuine safety issues. There are documented cases of climbers being bitten by cliff spiders, typically when the spider is accidentally crushed against the rock or trapped in clothing. These bites generally produce only minor local reactions, some redness, mild swelling, and occasionally itching that resolves within a few days. Medical literature contains remarkably few reports of significant envenomation from cliff-dwelling spider species, suggesting that even when bites occur, the amount of venom injected is minimal. From a conservation perspective, cliff habitats face increasing pressure from human activities. Rock climbing, while relatively low impact compared to many outdoor pursuits, does disturb spider populations. Studies comparing spider abundance on popular climbing routes versus undisturbed cliff sections have found significantly reduced spider densities on heavily climbed routes. The constant traffic disrupts hunting behavior, destroys carefully positioned tripwires, and may cause spiders to relocate to less optimal hunting territories. Climate change represents another significant threat to cliff spider populations. Many species have evolved extremely narrow temperature tolerances, adapted to the specific microclimates of their cliff habitats. Even small temperature increases can push conditions beyond optimal ranges. Research published in 2022 modeling the impacts of projected climate change on cliff ecosystems suggested that some specialized cliff spider species could lose up to 60% of their suitable habitat by 2100 under moderate warming scenarios. Cliff spiders represent a remarkable example of evolutionary adaptation to extreme environments. Through convergent evolution across multiple spider lineages, these arachnids have developed sophisticated anatomical, behavioral, and chemical innovations that allow them to thrive as apex predators on vertical rock faces. Their extraordinary adhesive capabilities, ultra-strong silk production, advanced sensory systems, and strategic hunting behaviors demonstrate the power of natural selection to craft solutions to challenging ecological problems. The high hunting success rates of these spiders, their economic use of silk resources, and their ability to colonize cliff habitats worldwide testify to the effectiveness of their adaptations. As we continue to study these remarkable creatures, we gain deeper insights into spider evolution, biomechanics, and ecology. Understanding cliff spiders also has practical applications. Their adhesive mechanisms inspire biomimetic materials, and their silk properties inform the development of synthetic fibers. There's clearly still much to learn about cliff spider biology and evolution. Ongoing research continues to reveal new species, document previously unknown behaviors, and refine our understanding of their evolutionary relationships. As human activities increasingly impact cliff ecosystems, understanding these specialized predators becomes not just scientifically interesting, but also crucial for conservation efforts. These extraordinary arachnids deserve our attention, respect, and protection as we share the vertical world they've mastered so successfully.